Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. Tider Insider TV, brought to you by Visit Tuscaloosa.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome into the latest edition of Tider Insider TV. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris, and we're ready to talk basketball, football, gymnastics. We got a jam-packed show on top, and we're going to begin with hoops. The AP poll came out on Monday. Auburn is the new #1, but Alabama, after a top 10 win on Saturday over Texas A&M, moved up a spot from number 5 to number 4 in the latest AP poll. In fact, 5 of the top 8 teams in the AP top 25, Rodney, are from the SEC. How about that? You got Alabama at 1. You got Auburn at 1, Alabama at 4, Tennessee at 5. I think Kentucky is in there as well. Florida, I think, is 5. Kentucky is Tennessee is 6 and Kentucky is 8. I'm doing that off my memory, but it's loaded, and that is what we have come to expect for Alabama in the SEC. Alabama had a hard-fought, nearly 3-hour game at A&M on Saturday night. They won it 94-88. That's the good news. Alabama made 10 threes in the first half. 88 free throw attempts in this game. I mean, it was unbelievable. Alabama, though, had a 15-point lead in the second half, cut all the way down to 3. And A&M had a chance to steal this game, but the Tide got a big 3 from Mark Sears. And thankfully, A&M helped out at the line by shooting 48, but only making 28 for 58%. Alabama gets the win. NATO's kind of compared it to a football game with all the physicality. Mark Sears finished with 27 points as Alabama moves to 3-0 in the conference. All right, Rodney, let me bring you in here. Alabama and Ole Miss playing tonight. More on that in a moment. They're 3-0. Ole Miss is, and so is Auburn. We're just 3 games into the season, and 16-team league. There's only 3 unbeaten teams. I mean, every night you go out, if you don't have your best stuff, you can lose.
It's a war. I mean, it's a war in the SEC. I mean, you're challenged every single game. And, you know, for Alabama to be where they are, Gary, to go on the road, get back-to-back wins, I mean, there were a lot of people that were kind of saying, okay, you know, heading into SEC play, we know this team's talented, but they're not quite clicking on all cylinders. But once they hit SEC play, I mean, they've had the pedal down. Yeah,
Mark Sears has really taken it up a notch since he got into SEC play. In 3 games, he's averaging 23 points a game and 6.6 assists. They're starting to shoot it better. They're getting on the backboard. And on Saturday night, I mean, it was now, for a while there, it seemed like A&M was either going to go to the basket and score or get fouled or get the rebound and get fouled.
Or both.
Or both. I mean, at times, I'm just going to be honest with you, it was hard to watch.
It was really hard to watch.
Rodney, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the game really drug on. But, you know, Gary, I'll tell you this. This is how far I think Nate Oates has really brought this program, because even though A&M cut it to an 83-80 game, you know, after Alabama had the big lead, I never really sensed that Alabama was in jeopardy. I thought this team would win. I was very confident the way they carry themselves. You know, they got the leadership with obviously Mark Sears. He hit the big shot, as you mentioned. So I think that's really kind of an indication of how far the program's come.
Yeah, and Chris Youngblood's starting to get into game shape. He had 14 points and 5 rebounds, made 3 of 6 from three-point range. Aiden Holloway had 10 against Oklahoma, 13 against South Carolina, and 15 against A&M, so he's coming on as well. All right, this is the South Carolina game. Alabama played in Columbia before they went to College Station and won that game by 20, Rodney. And this is a South Carolina team that their next game almost knocked off Auburn. So this is an impressive win.
No, really. They had Auburn down. You're right. Auburn had to kind of win late. Or had a big lead at one time, but South Carolina certainly made it interesting. You know, look, like you said, Gary, it really doesn't matter who it is. It's a challenge, and especially when you go on the road. Yeah, it's a real challenge. So for Alabama to pick off these last 2 games on the road, it's really big in the start of the SEC.
Yeah, and as we said, Ole Miss tonight. That game's underway at Coleman Coliseum, and that's going to lead us to Coach Talk. Chris Beard called this a first-place game because 2 of the top 3 teams in the SEC standings are currently in action. Alabama and Ole Miss, along with Auburn, the only remaining teams unbeaten in league play. In this game, you could say offense versus defense. Alabama averages 91 points per game, best in the nation. The Rebels are 3rd in scoring defense in the SEC. And Ole Miss, led by Virginia Tech transfer Sean Padula, averaging 14 assists a game. So they spread it around. And are we going to do the coach talk here? Okay. Let's get to Coach Talk, because I'm not sure where we're at exactly. So let's hear what we have in Coach Talk tonight.
but they do a really good job of moving you around, a lot of motion, concepts, and then they're attacking. So you're busy guarding some action, and the action's got some real players in it, so you can't ignore it. And then all of a sudden somebody's beating somebody. So you got to have some good on-ball, defense, because sometimes your help side gets a little distracted with trying to guard their motion, and we got to do a better job not being distracted while still knowing how to guard that. So they run good offense. They got good players.
All right, that is Nate Oates talking about those 4 guards that Ole Miss has. We mentioned Padula, Jalen Murray, Matthew Morrell, and Dre Davis. They give you some matchup problems for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you look at Chris Beard, the talent that he's already got there at Ole Miss and the way he's building that program, we know how good they are. Again, they're one of the top teams in the SEC in terms of ability.
All right, so that game is going on. Do we have a score update on that game between Alabama and Ole Miss? Okay, we're working on getting a score update. I don't know where we're at because, to be honest with you, what I'm getting in the teleprompter is completely different than what I have right here. So we'll just we'll get a score for you. And in the meantime, we'll go to women's basketball because Christy Curry and the Crimson Tide responded on Sunday at Ole Miss. They had absolutely gotten annihilated Thursday night in Austin against the Texas Longhorns, 84-40. You go to Ole Miss, which is a really good team. You're still without Sarah Ashley Barker, who is one of the better players in the conference and arguably your best player. She's been out with a lower leg injury since the first half of the Florida game, which was the SEC opener. And you come back and you win this game, Rodney. That is some toughness to go on the road to Oxford and get a win to go to 3-1 in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. I mean, when you talk about the confidence that they built in the pre-conference schedule, Gary, we talked about how important that was, and now playing without one of your elite players for sure, it's a gut check. And, it played really well. Of course, now I know they've got South Carolina coming up, and that's going to be a real challenge.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a moment, because the gold standard in women's college basketball right now is South Carolina and Don Staley, much like Nick Saban and Alabama football were for years. They are the best, and they're coming in here Thursday night. It's Crimson Chaos night. I'm telling you, Rodney, Alabama's only got 2 losses on the season, 1 in the SEC. I'd really like to see this gym packed. I think this women's team deserves this type of support, and they're going to need it against a team that, as I said, back-to-back national champions.
Yeah, and maybe without, again, maybe your best player for sure. And, it could be really difficult. But you're right, Gary. I think the way this program has kind of really come around, you're right. I think deserve is the right word.
All right, and an update on the men's basketball game, 23-23, 7 minutes to go in the first half. So the pace is to Ole Miss's favor. They're keeping the score down, but we'll keep you updated. All right, let's talk some football because we can't do Tider Insider TV and not talk some football. Ty Simpson is the guy that we figure has the inside track to being the starting quarterback. He's been in the program for a while, but he's got very little game experience. And behind him, though, you've got Austin Mack, who was a true freshman this past season, transferring over from Washington, that only played in a couple of games. And then you've got Keelan Russell, who's just now coming in from high school. So you've got 3 scholarship quarterbacks, Rodney. None of them have very much experience. So I guess the question is, do you think Alabama will try to add a 4th quarterback before spring? Go through spring with 3 and then try to add 1, or ride it out all the way with 3 scholarship quarterbacks?
Well, before I say what I'm getting ready to say, let's just be clear. This is speculation. I don't think it has anything valid to it, okay? But a lot of people are talking about, will Alabama maybe pursue Quinn Ewers or a quarterback on that level? Because here's a guy that could come in, or Ewers or whoever it is, with experience, step right in, and potentially boost your team, right? But Gary, when I look at it, I think they're going to roll with Ty Simpson. I think when you look at his tools, he's been around a while, even though he doesn't have a lot of experience. Ty has a ton of tools, and he's really kind of waited his opportunity. I think when you look at Austin Mack, you mentioned him. Again, he's another guy with a lot of tools. I think consistency. He's still a young kid. He's only 18 years old. He should be a true freshman right now. So I think this spring will really tell us a lot about his progress. And then Keelan Russell. Look, you talk to people at Duncanville High School. Reginald Samples is a high school coach there. He's coached many great players. They've won a lot of state championships. He says Keelan Russell is the best player he's ever seen on a high school level. That's saying a lot because he's produced a ton of talent. I'm talking about first-round draft picks. Okay, so he really knows what a high school player looks like. So it's going to be a real interesting battle. I think they might add a quarterback, Gary, after spring, if you ask me, but it would be a guy that would come in with the understanding he's going to provide depth and maybe have an opportunity to challenge a year or so down the road.
Let me ask you this. Such high praise for Russell. The last freshman quarterback to start here was Jalen Hurts. Do you think that Keelan Russell has an opportunity or potential to win this job?
I wouldn't rule it out, but at the same time, I think it's really difficult with a kid coming in, hasn't played on this level. And again, I have a lot of confidence in Ty Simpson, his ability. So I think really he's got an opportunity this spring to really solidify things. And Austin Mack, he's a really talented kid as well.
All right. Still to come on Tider Insider TV, see which Bama players helped their team survive in the playoff round of the weekend in the NFL, in our Bama in the NFL segment. And when we come back, Alabama gymnastics coach Ashley Johnston live in studio. We'll chat about the start of the 2025 season, look back at the UNC meet. They go on the road to Kentucky. Then next week, #1 ranked Oklahoma comes to town. And we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets in just a little bit. The phone number, as always, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or you can email us at the address on your screen, TITV@WVUA23.com. This is the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, Tider Insider TV. And welcome back to TITV, presented by Tuscaloosa. Visit Tuscaloosa. Go to visittuscaloosa.com. I'm Gary Harrison, joined now in studio by Ashley Johnston, the head coach of the Alabama gymnastics team. Of course, a great All-American competitor here under Sarah and David Patterson. And Alabama's ranked 6th this week and opened in impressive fashion with a home win over North Carolina last Friday night, 197.025, 195.225 for the Tar Heels. The first thing I want to do, Ashley, say thank you for coming in.
Of course.
Up
Thanks
against
for
the basketball
having me.
game. I appreciate it. But
Absolutely.
A shout out for the fans last week, because we know we were dealing with some winter weather, and they still popped it for about 9,000 the other night.
They did. We woke up to a winter wonderland. I looked outside and I was like, oh no, what is this going to do for our meet attendance? And honestly, our crowd was amazing. The fans showed up. They were loud. They brought the energy, and it really helped elevate us to have a really strong performance for opening night.
And you did. When you hit 197 plus on the opening night, again, you're on my radio show just about every week, and we talk about it's aggregate scoring during the season, but still to hit 197 in that first meet, you had to be pretty thrilled with that.
I really was. We have a young team, and so we had 3 new freshmen make their debuts into our competition lineups, and we had a lot of returners that competed for the first time as well. And so it was really great to see our team start strong. They really handled the distractions, the scores, the rankings, all the things that go into play. And we're just looking forward to building on that this week against our first SEC opponent, Kentucky.
Yeah, you said something today during media availability. You said, we got 15 meets to go. This is kind of like a marathon, and we're just in the first mile. But this first mile takes you on the road for the first time, and it's the SEC opener at Kentucky.
That's right. It's going to be a big matchup. The Kentucky, they're a really strong team. They have been year after year, so we know they're going to bring their A game. We feel like everybody circles Alabama as the team that they want to beat, and we take a lot of pride in that. I think that's a reflection of the legacy, the people that have come before us, that have worked hard to establish our program as the premier in the country. But overall, our mentality doesn't change. We want to start strong. We want to handle the noise, handle the distractions, and not let that control us, but stay in charge of the things that we can control.
Blending the newcomers with your returning performers, and at the same time already a couple injuries, and we know gymnastics is a rough sport physically, so that's just part of it. But after that first meet, did you like the way everybody kind of came together, newcomers and the returners?
I really do. Bamily is one of our core values of our program. Obviously, it's our Bama family. And we talk about our family as our connection to each other, and it's our connection to our mission, and therefore our fans as well. And so I really feel like moments like that, where you really see all the work coming together under the lights in front of people, it's such a magical feeling, and it really sparks that passion to just continue to move forward. And it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so while we celebrated that win, we put that behind us and are staying focused on our upcoming week.
All right. Every meet is important, and you got a road meet at Kentucky, as we've established. But just like with basketball, hosting South Carolina on Thursday night, some events are more special than others in terms of the fan interest. A week from Friday night, Oklahoma rolls in here. #1. They've won 6 national championships, just like Alabama, but lately they have kind of been the force in college gymnastics. That is going to be a huge meet and a good barometer for exactly where you're at.
It absolutely will. Oklahoma has really been a dynasty these past few years. They continue to find a great recipe to be on the final night of competition, compete big, and have come away with numerous championships. And so we're going to prepare for that meet like any others, but also know that there will be additional noise, additional hype. We're going to use that to our advantage advantage. We know that they're a team that we'll likely face in postseason and hopefully be neck and neck with. And so it's a great opportunity for us to, again, compete against one of the toughest teams in the country and be able to use that to continue to move forward.
And be looking for a sellout.
That's
looking
right.
for 15,000 plus.
That's
Hopefully
right.
the weather won't be, we won't have a blizzard or anything, and we can
That's
pack
right.
that place.
I mean, our schedule is packed
Yeah,
from
it is.
Oklahoma to the reigning national champions, LSU coming in town 2 weeks later, Auburn, Florida. I mean, this is truly the best of the best gymnastics. It's going to be right here in Coleman Coliseum.
That's right.
So
and
we need our fans. It's going to be really exciting matchups.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much.
Good luck on
Roll
Friday
Tide.
night at Kentucky.
Appreciate
All
it.
right, when we come back, see which former Bama players stood out in the NFL wildcard playoffs over the weekend in our Bama in the NFL segment. And phone lines are open. I knew with the basketball game going on that it might be a little bit slow, but you can get through. For the people that always complain that they can't get through, now's your opportunity. 205-348-9882. Go ahead and give us a call. TITV will continue right after this timeout. All right, Bama in the NFL wildcard playoff edition. Saturday, the Texans hosting the Chargers. Will Anderson Jr., man, he was a force. They just took it out on Justin Herbert. He had a sack and a half. Texans win at 32-12. Of course, the head coach of the Texans, DeMeco Ryans. And then there's Derrick Henry. Oh, I hate this. In some ways, I like, that's Miko on the other end of that. He said, hey, after he said, Bama sci-fi, nothing personal. I love Mika.
He got used to that his freshman year.
Yeah, he had to deal with it then. There goes Henry again, man. He's just unbelievable. Had 186, 2 touchdowns. He's got 4 playoff games of 150 or more yards. That's tied with Terrell Davis for the most. Here's Jalen Hurts, all day to throw. That doesn't hurt. Throwing a touchdown. He came back from concussion protocol. The Eagles win. And Josh Jacobs against Jalen in the Eagles had another really good game. Watch this run right here, Rodney. He would score on the next play. They ruled him down. This was the touchdown rim down. He would score on the next play. They ruled him down. Okay, welcome back to the rim down. But the Eagles get the win. Okay, welcome back into TITV with Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. By the way, basketball update. Alabama's got the lead with 1:04 to go till half, but it's the Ole Miss pace, 33-30. Alabama's on top. By the way, phone lines are wide open. 205-348. WVUA. So go ahead and give us a call, 205-348-9882. In the meantime, we're going to get our email question of the day, and it's presented by KDM Service Corporation. When it comes to heating and air conditioning, KDM Service Corporation serves your family like our family. All right, I believe the transfer portal is bad for the game. But how much has Alabama benefited with Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamison Williams, etc.? That's from Cindy. And Cindy, they have benefited some. There's no doubt about that. Initially, Alabama really benefited from the portal when we were trying to kind of figure out how it would all work. And but now I think over the long haul, if you had at a program like Alabama or Georgia or these top programs, you'd probably rather not have a portal. You can recruit guys and keep them in your program, but you got to deal with it the way it is.
Yeah, and I think when you need someone, you really need a position. Well, Alabama needed Jamison Williams. There he is right there.
Yeah.
Had he not gone down in this game, this was actually the SEC championship game, but he made a big difference in that game. But look, Gary, I'll say this. You can even look at last year. I think Parker Brailsford stepping in with Seth McLaughlin, transferring out to Ohio State, made a big difference at center. Jeremy Bernard at wide receiver made a big difference. Keon Sabb, until he went down, made a big difference. There's Sabb right there with that interception. So I think even today, it certainly still continues to be beneficial to Alabama.
All right. Thank you for that good email, our email question of the day. Well, still to come on Tider Insider Television. Hopefully we'll get some phone calls in. We certainly will get to some more emails. Plus, Alabama baseball signed a local prospect in Eric Hines from ACA. He's not only one of the best players in the area, he's one of the best players in the state and in the country. We'll have that for you as well. And as I said, phone lines are open. Don't let us go through a show without a call. 205-348-WVUA. It's about to be halftime. Break away from the basketball game and give us a call, 348-9882. We'll be right back. All right, I love it when Alabama baseball signs great players, but even better when they sign one from right here in Tuscaloosa. That guy is Eric Hines, center fielder for American Christian Academy. Not only one of the best players in the area, but he's the number 2 rated player in the state. He was a perfect game All-American and a level 10 perfect game recruit, meaning that he's expected to be a high draft pick and or an elite player at the college level. Rodney, he is that. We've watched him go, man. He's got another year of another season of high school baseball, but this kid can really play. He said he loves Rob Vaughn, man. And he wanted to stay right here in Tuscaloosa. All right, welcome back into the show, and we're going to try to get the phone call, I do believe. From Tubbs? All right, Tubbs, you're on TITV. You're our first caller of the night. How are you? You got him on? Go ahead, sir.
I wanted to, Rodney, comment on the center play this past season. It was much better, and also, do we have a recruit coming in, or who is the backup center?
Okay, Parker's Brailford did have a really good year, Rodney.
He did. Parker did a fantastic job, and obviously he came in, as a redshirt sophomore. He had a great year at Washington, helping them to that national championship game that they had. Look, you couldn't have asked for anyone better in terms of stepping in for Seth McLaughlin, who really was a good center. Obviously, what did he win, the Outland this year, Gary?
He did. He won the
Lombardi.
The center award, Remington Award.
Yeah, he won the Remington up there at Ohio State. He's the best, center in the country. So he's a really good player, too. Now, as far as the backup, Gino Vandermark, I thought, again, you're talking about the transfer portal? Gary, that was a big pickup last year because here's a guy that can play center, he can play guard. He did both of those. He helped Alabama out quite a bit, this year, and did a really good job at both spots.
All right, thanks for that phone call. We'll be back to wrap up TITV right after this break.